Velocity is never overrated, but I do think that recruiting someone who just because they throw 65, I'd rather a 62 kid who gets into our nutrition program and our weight room who can spin it and think the game rather than someone who just kind of thumbs it.
Whether you live northeast, west, or south, the best fast pitch info comes from the coach's mouth. Welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast with your hosts, Jay Bolden and Ken Kraus.
Hello, everyone. Yes, welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast. This is Ken once again here with Jay Bolden, the Magic Man of Indiana. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ken. I don't know about the Magic Man, but it's great to be here. It's awesome. Summer is full swing now. Recruiting trail is started, so we're going out, watching some pitchers, watching some kids we're interested in. A lot of good travel ball stuff going on, so I'm excited for what the summer is. Had some kids that pitched in the Illinois State Finals, so that's awesome. Got to go see them and do that stuff. But outside of that, man, things are good for me. How about yourself?
Yeah, same for me. Starting to get used to the heat now. It was kind of a chilly spring in this area, in the Chicago area. I didn't feel like we were really getting the temperatures up where it would have been nice in May. They were a little bit chilly, but sooner or later, that's going to take care of itself, and it has.
Yeah. Speaking of summer, I wanted to talk to you about something. I mean, here we are. We're just instantly into June here, a couple weeks into June, and I'm already seeing tryout posts, Ken. How about you? Have you seen any open tryouts or tryout posts yet?
Oh, my gosh. I've been seeing them since like the end of May.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you feel, Jay, but to me, it's just crazy. There used to be that you were on a team and you were focused on that team, and then you went in there and you did the best you could. And then when it was all over, you made your evaluations and then you start up for the next season. Now, it doesn't seem like they even get the season going before people are already looking to get rid of the kids they have and try to find another group that's going to be better and help them win more plastic trophies.
Yeah, you know what, Ken? It's funny. I remember, this is probably about 10 years ago now, not to date myself too much here, but about 10 years ago, I was coaching a higher level 14U team. And it used to be that everybody waited to do tryouts until like either the week before nationals, PGF nationals out in California, or it was like the week after. And now it's like, they're already knowing their teams before they get into there. I mean, I can't believe that that's going to make for good team chemistry when you're not going to ask some people back and you're already working on your next team. So it's just changed a lot. And I think that has a lot to do with team dynamics and stuff like that. So, and the problem with it is when somebody does it, the next person's like, well, we've got to do it because we want to get those kids here too. And I think it's a snowball effect. And I think, I don't know. Maybe,
yeah, I don't know. I call it an arms race, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that so let's say you do these open practices and people know that other kids are coming in, and then they start doing tryouts and they get everything picked by the end of June or the beginning of July, and you still have a couple of tournaments left to go, and then, presumably a bigger one at the end of the season. Why would someone who knows they're not going to be on that team anymore, either they're leaving of their own accord or they can tell that they are being removed, why would they spend the money to go and do all of that stuff and be a part of it? I
imagine that happens a lot, that people back out of those last tournaments too. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fix is, but this is the world, the softball world that we live in now. So
yeah. I guess it's kind of like what happened with the early recruiting, where they were recruiting seventh graders to college. So at some point, people just have to get together. They have to make an agreement and say, no more. We're not going to do this. This is when the tryout period starts. And if you do anything before that, you don't play in our sanction.
Yep. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't know what the fix is, but it just seems earlier and earlier every year. But hey, enough of us rambling on. We could go on forever and this could be the whole podcast. Why don't you give some information about this amazing guest that we have with us today? I'm absolutely excited and cannot wait to dive in. So let people know.
Yeah, definitely a more upbeat kind of a conversation. So we're thrilled to speak with today's guest because he's not only an outstanding coach who is building his reputation at the highest levels of the women's game, he is also an active member of the Team USA men's team. Our guest was born and raised in Sydney, Australia, where he earned a bachelor's degree in sports business and leadership from the Australian College of Physical Education before moving to Gainesville, where he received a second bachelor's degree in sports management from the University of Florida. During that time, he used his dual citizenship to secure a spot on the USA softball men's national team as a pitcher, where he helped the American squad earn a bronze medal in the 2022 and 2025 WBSC Men's World Cup Finals. He also joined the Florida coaching staff as a student manager for 2 years, primarily working with pitchers. Our guest just finished his second season as an assistant coach at the University of Washington, again focusing on pitchers. So we're sure he has plenty of insights on the state of D1 college ball, what makes pitchers successful, what high school players need to do to improve their chances of being recruited, and much more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our amazing guest from Down Under, Coach Brad Kilpatrick, to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast.
Welcome, Brad.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome.
Hi, Brad.
Thanks so much for spending time with us today, man. We really appreciate it. I know you're a super busy guy, so we're gonna dive right in right away here because I want to get after it with you, and I know you got things to do. So,
and we hear you have a plane to catch.
That too. That super important. I want to add. We kind of ask this of everybody that's been a guest on our podcast here. So, tell us where your softball journey began. How did you get started with softball, and what age were you when you got started?
Yeah, so grew up in Sydney, Australia, and over there, cricket is the summer sport. Everybody loves cricket. Everybody wants to play cricket. My dad is from Florida, so he grew up from Florida and moved over to Australia and met my mom, and I was the firstborn, and they were kind of figuring out, okay, rugby is a non-negotiable in the winter. He's playing rugby. That's it. And my family is a big cricket family, massive, love cricket. And my dad said, I don't know if I can spend 6 to 8 hours every Saturday for you to maybe get the chance to have a bat. Like you may play, you may not. So it was always going to be baseball. And when we got down there was kind of the two clubhouse signups. One signup was for softball, t-ball, and the other one was baseball. And I don't know if they missed the table or which one happened or what, but they ended up signing me up for softball, and it ended up being t-ball, and I was playing co-ed t-ball. And at the end of the day, we were like, it doesn't really matter because he's playing rugby anyway. He's going to be a professional rugby player, this kid. And at the end of the day, I just kept playing softball, and it grew into t-ball, to pitching, to modified, to you name it. And here I am still in the game.
Awesome.
And we know that you're still playing. Are you playing for a team this summer?
Yeah. So I was originally with a team out of Mexico, and then that team folded. But then now I'm going to be playing with the J&B Bombers this season at the ISC. So we have a couple weekends leading up, playing some tournaments in Canada. And then we'll head to the ISC in August and compete there.
Nice. I got to see them a few years ago out in South Bend. So that's a good team. They were good. That was a very good tournament in South Bend. I saw them at too. So they've been around for a while, right?
Yeah. The last time I played against them, I think I've played against them maybe 5 or 6 times now. And I think 4 of them we've gone to extra innings, and they knocked us out in the 9th inning, 1-0. So I was like, all right, if you can't beat them, join them, I guess. That's what we're doing.
Are you primarily just staying up in Canada with them, or are they coming down this way in the States?
No, they're playing mostly. I think we have a tournament in Vancouver, and then we're in Kitchener for the ISC. So I think it's mainly up there.
Okay, cool. Hey, I was going to ask you, so like, what was the pathway from, Sydney to Team USA and eventually college softball coaching? How did that all come about for you, Brad?
Yeah, well, it's a long story that I'll try to keep somewhat not too long, but basically,
hey, we have an hour to fill, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I played through the Australian system, the Australian ranks, and we kind of do it a little bit different here to the US system, where we kind of play by region. So we play for our local team, then we go into our state, then we go into national competitions, but we kind of represent where we're from. We don't kind of represent a travel ball team. It's a little bit different. But from there in 2018, I managed to make the junior Australian national team. And then from there, we came over, we played in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and we won a gold medal. And I was probably 3rd or 4th string pitcher. I was kind of just there, and I pitched a game against Denmark, a game against South Africa, and then they threw me in against Japan so our ace didn't get many looks. And then my grandfather was just walking around, and he ended up, I think, sitting next to the USA coach on the plane back. I think they had to go from Saskatchewan to Vancouver to connecting he was trying to get back to Australia. The other guy's just trying to get home. And he was like, just so you know, my grandson has a US passport. If anything ever kind of happens there, he could represent the US, and we just won a gold medal. And I think USA came like 8th. And I was like, I'm not leaving Australia. Like, this is my place. This is where I'm from. This is how it's going. And then about a month later, Bob Piddock, who runs kind of the USA junior system, he's a junior coach for a long time, he kind of reached out to me and said, hey, in November, we're having this USA Futures tournament. It's kind of nothing. We're just in San Francisco for the weekend, but it's all kind of the 18U, 21, 20U guys of USA who we really think are the future of the program. We kind of want to like see what you're about. And I was kind of like thinking about it. I walked into my mom's work next door. I walked to my mom's work. I was like, hey, this guy just random messaged me on Facebook Messenger, and he wants to kind of transport me halfway across the world for a weekend. Do you think that sounds good?
Is this name like, Jeffrey Epstein?
Oh,
yeah, that's kind of, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? Anyways, I said yes. So this guy, we get a plane ticket sorted, we get over there, we get plane, and he picks me up from San Francisco airport. This is kind of a bit of a tangent to the story. But then he pulls into his house. I've never been to the US really since I was like 3. And he lives on a ranch. There's llamas, there's horses. I'm thinking we're like, okay, Wild West. Let's go, Cowboys. And then we play the weekend. We have a pretty good tournament. From there, I get a call back later on, and I ended up playing ISC the next summer and the summer after that. So for the next, I guess, 5 years, other than the COVID year, I was coming over every summer and playing between May and August in the circuit. So I'm building connections, just playing. We're winning a bunch, we're losing a bunch, kind of having the ups and downs of the season as you go. And there was a coaching change where Greg Leather was leaving right as I was coming in. So I was trying to kind of impress Greg Leather. And then Ron Hackett took over. And Ron, we had countless phone calls back and forth. He was like, can you come make the US team? You know, the US, we have the hitting, we have the defense, but no one develops pitching growing up. No one really slings it at an international level because they start when they're 18, 19, 20. They don't start when they're 11, like the guys do around the world. So from there, I was thinking about it. And I said, I don't know if you guys know Gabby Plain at all, but Gabby Plain,
yeah.
I played with her brother, and her dad was one of my coaches. And I said, what about this college thing? Like, I see she's kind of having fun. She plays ball every day. Like, what's this college thing about? Like, is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? And Ron was like, oh, it's a massive deal. Like, this is everything that we live and breathe for over here. And I was like, okay, well, if I move to the US team, like, why don't I like move to the US? Like, that makes sense in my brain. And I'm 18, 19, 20. I'm like, I got nothing really going on. So then, so I start reaching out to a bunch of schools. I emailed everybody. And when I say everybody, I didn't know what Division I meant. I didn't know what Division II meant. I didn't know. I was like, look, I want to coach ball. Like, this is sick. I want to work for softball every day. And then I started coming over more, and I started really figuring it out. And I was like, wow, the value of kind of having a men's guy who's played at the international level, who honestly just pitching BP was like the biggest ticket. And I started getting calls back from like a lot of like SEC teams at that point, Pac-12 teams. And I didn't know. And I was asking some buddies who were in the game, and I was like, I got this email back from the University of Florida. Are they any good? I was like, and then like I was in the back of a truck, and I was like, this guy named Tim Walton's calling me. Is like, who is this guy? And then Coach Walton ended up being the best thing that, you know, ever happened to me in terms of getting over here and making me finally commit to moving overseas into the US. So I was kind of thinking about it, and he was like, you know what, I'll help you with a place to stay for the next 6 months when you get over here. Like, I didn't know anything. I had to get into school. I didn't know what a credit score was. I didn't have one. I couldn't go to rent an apartment. And he goes, look, don't worry about it. He goes, come over here. We're going to let you find your feet. You're going to figure it out. You're just going to come show up to work every day. If you just come show up to work every day, you're going to be fine. So I kind of just stuck with that. And, you know, I did everything I could, you know, whatever I had to do. Yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever it was, I'll scout for you. I'll throw for you. And, you know, I kind of just really just said, I'm going to go all in on this thing. I'm going to play on the national team on the around it. He was really flexible with the playing schedule. And then from there, it got to the point where I was like, okay, do I continue my grad school or do I really go out and into coaching? And I was fortunate enough that Coach Tar reached out to me and said, you know what, we want you to be the pitching coach of Washington. And I don't know how anyone would ever say no to that.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just curious. So you got a bachelor's degree in Sydney, and then you basically got a bachelor's degree in the same thing in the U.S. Was it a little bit easier to do that since you'd already been through?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy in that situation because I thought all the initial conversations, I was coming over for grad school. And then as I had to go do the whole transcript situation, basically the University of Florida said, you have no American general education. You don't have American high schooling. You don't have American gen ed. So basically, I'd done all my credits for sports management, sports science, and sports business in Australia. And they said, hey, can you do 2 years of math, English, and science, and we'll give you a sports degree.
And then after that, because of the American education system, you're like, oh, yeah, that's nothing. Getting through all this stuff here, this is kind of simple.
I never once stepped in a Florida classroom because I wanted to free myself up, and I just did online classes so that I could be there for the team. So I never once stepped inside a classroom. I knew the sports department area back of my hand. If you told me to walk campus and show you the halls, I'd have no idea.
So are you still active with Team USA, still on the team?
Yeah, so at the moment, I didn't play the last tournament. The last one, they had a qualifier in, I think it was Colombia in February, but we was kicking off our college season. So the last tournament, you won't find me on the roster, but I was the year before, we went to the World Games in China and the World Cup in Canada, and I was a part of that team.
Okay. So what was it like to play on the international stage, be on Team USA? I mean, it must have been a little bit different for you because you grew up in Australia. So it wasn't like, you know, you were a little kid in USA and then all of a sudden you have the jersey. But what was it like being on that international stage?
Yeah, I think it kind of started for me as a junior with the junior team of Australia. And at that point of my life, it was more, I was just happy to be there. I fought really, really hard just to make the team. And I was kind of on the cusp. Like I didn't know until I knew I was on the team. It wasn't like I was kind of like, oh, I'm in, I'm for sure going to be okay. So for there, I was more just happy to be there. I was like, I'm with the national team. I'm good. And I didn't play too much. So I was like, these guys took us to the end and I'm just learning. I'm just trying to be a sponge and soak it all in. But I didn't really realize how valuable that experience was because the next time we had COVID and I didn't make the national team in Prague because I couldn't make the Australian national team for the men's. I could only make the juniors team. And then I shot up straight away into the men's. And basically it was like, hey, we have the team here to be really good. We just don't have the pitching. We don't have the pitching to be any good. That's all I kept hearing. I was like, okay, I just got to keep us in the game. So I really, really, really trained hard. And we kind of had the mindset of a team like, let's really just push to bring USA kind of back on the map. Like we came like 7th, we've been coming 8th, we've been coming 10th. USA kind of really hasn't made that jump to medal contention in a long time. And I think we kind of just started slowly playing the tournament. We had a 1-0 game against, I think it was maybe Singapore. Oh no, sorry, it was the Philippines. We had a 1-0 game against the Philippines night 1. And we're like, okay, like we got one, but geez, that was close against the team ranked 30th. How are we going to go against the top 5 teams? And then we slowly kept winning. Like the next day we beat New Zealand, who were one of the medal favorites. Then we lose big to the Czech Republic and we're like, okay, we need to figure it out and bounce back. But then we kept winning. We get out of our pool. We start getting into the super rounds and we're kind of got some momentum now. We're like, okay, we're hitting. If the pitching can just hold us, we can go, we can hold. And then I remember Australia were playing Argentina and I was getting really hyped. Like I'm young. This is my first time. I'm like, we might have a chance at a medal. All I wanted in my life was a World Series medal. That's all I wanted. And now I'm like, holy cow, we can really get up there and go for it. And Australia were playing Argentina and we were going to play the loser in the bronze medal game. And they kept going back and forth. But because of the rules and it was run differential, Australia had to win by 2 to get through. And Argentina just had to basically not lose by 2 or win. And I had gotten lit up by Australia like 3 days before. I had a great tournament, and Australia, they were all my buddies. Like I grew up with them, they know me inside and out. And they said, we're showing you no mercy. Like we're coming at you, and we lost that game. But Argentina was the defending world champs. So they're the team to beat and to knock off the podium. And I remember all of the team is like, okay, we need Australia to win. We need Australia to win by 2. And Australia were the top of the inning. So they could score 2 and keep going. And then when they went to extra innings, whereas Argentina, if they win, they're in. So if Australia were the bottom of the inning, it could have just ended on 1. Australia scored 2 in like the top of the 8th, top of the 9th. And all the teams like, no, we have to play Argentina. And I was the only one smiling. I was the only one like, I can handle Argentina. I don't know if I can handle Australia again. And then the biggest game of my life was the bronze medal game. And we won that 2-0. And I think from there was a sense of confidence about the team. We were back. Our sights have been gold since. And we got bronze again, unfortunately, in the 2025 World Series. But we got a gold in the World Games in Japan we tied the medal with Japan because the final rained out in China.
So, Brett, I want to ask you real quick because you're not giving yourself enough credit there, right? That Argentina game, I'm pretty sure you had a shutout against them. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think that's probably the most strikeouts I've ever had in a game too.
Yeah.
That was kind of the best game of my life. I don't know. I had loaded bases in the first 3 batters of the game with no out. And Roman actually helped come out with a mound visit, I think, with Musi, our pitching coach. And I just remember thinking, it's been a long week. We're kind of in the bronze medal game. This is really cool. Just soak it in. And I was like, this team's going to score runs. This team's one of the best teams in the world. And then honestly struck out the next 3 hitters. And I was like, okay, let's go. We're back. Let's win this game.
Nice.
Well, what I thought was funny too is as you were talking about it, and I talk about this with my girls. I'm sure Jay does the same thing too. But just the way you said that is that, my whole life I just wanted to win a medal. You didn't care what medal as long as it was a medal. Then you won that bronze medal, and then you go to the next time, you're like, and we only got a bronze. What used to be a thrill was now a disappointment.
Yep.
Yeah, you kind of set these expectations for yourself. And I say this to my girls coaching all the time. I'm like, when they get disappointed, I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I wanted to do this. And it's like expectations. Like when you meet an expectation, you kind of just like, oh, okay. But when you don't meet an expectation, sometimes your world just feels like it's crumbling down. And really, it's all just in your head. It's just an expectation.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, I want to ask you a question because I heard you said something there. You're like, man, I went out and, I trained because you said at that time you were barely making the team. You were on the cusp, you said. And so I want to ask you because, Ken and I do lessons. So people require us to do a lot of things to help them be better. Right. But what was your training like? Did you go and get formal lessons? Did you just get out there and work on your spins? Like, what was that training like for you to make yourself better as a pitcher?
So in Australia, it's kind of a different format to the US format. You kind of practice for 3 months to play for a weekend. You don't play for 3 months to then practice for 1 weekend.
Yeah.
So we kind of select a team for our tournaments like 3 months in advance, and then you're going to practice for that team to win that tournament, win that weekend. So for me, it was really fortunate in that system because you can play for 3 or 4 different teams at once and be practicing for 3 or 4 different tournaments with different coaches and different groups of guys. Mm-hmm. And basically how it ended up was I almost ended up having like one coach that was really good at like my leg drive, getting me in positions to be strong. I had another coach who I kind of naturally just started talking more spins, grips, like the way to go about it. And then I have another coach who was basically just like, hey, let's just fiddle this together. And now let's talk some sequencing and talk about getting him out. And naturally that kind of unfolded that way. That kind of helped me now as a coach because I've had all these different voices. And I think coaches kind of say it all the time, but they don't really allow access to it. It's like, hey, get a bunch of opinions, but then filter it and do what works for you. And I think that I had a bunch of coaches that actually work together. And they would be like, what did this coach say about this? And they would like, there was no ego involved in anything. And then I could take it away into my own lessons. And when I moved to Florida, I was on my own. Like I didn't have these guys that I had. And I'm training for a team that they were trying to coach me to be a part of the Australian national team. And now I'm with the US national team. And I'm trying to be like, okay, well, how did they get me in these positions? And then I then now kind of piecing it all together. I'm a location spins guy. I'm like, my velo is just going to be my velo. I can work out in the weight room. I'm not going to get any more velo out of just pitching training, but I can always get better at my spins and my locations. And out of that, that's kind of what that looked like when I was in Florida training for that. But in Australia, it was 3-4 times a week of bullpens. Like there was no live batters really at all.
So what do you think that American softball can learn from the international game? What have you been bringing? Anything that you've been bringing to Washington as a result of that?
Yeah, I think that Well, the US system, and I even see it in travel ball right now. And I think coaches are trying to get there, and some travel organizations are better than others, but it's more of a play to develop instead of develop to play model here. And I think that, and kind of by the time some of these women get to college, they have never actually been developed or explained the game at all. They've just been playing every weekend, and they get by on natural instinct and natural athleticism and just experience playing the game, which is 100% the most valuable way to learn. But sometimes they don't know what to learn while they're learning about it. And they haven't been given the book to be like, I need to be here when I back up here. I need to be back up here. They only get there because one time someone missed it and a coach yelled at me about it. And they haven't been taught that development game. So I think coming in with the assumption that they don't know anything and then being surprised when they do is actually a better mindset, because then you can't get caught out in the little areas of detail of the game that we got honed in internationally, because we've had so much time at practice. Coaches find things to tell you.
Yeah. And I want to share something with you, Brad, too, because you heard us, Ken and I were kind of rambling on when you first got on here today. My daughter's 11, and I've been in the softball game for a long time. And we wanted to do a semi-travel team this year because we were coming right out of rec ball, right? And for us, I told them, all the parents and this team is going to practice more than it plays. So we're going to practice more and we're going to play. So we're playing a little this summer, but our practices are every week, and it's breaking the game down for them where you need to be backing things up, this, and that. And I feel like, and Ken and I talk about this all the time, I feel like that's like, as a college coach myself, we expect these kids when we get them at the college level to know that they're supposed to be in a certain spot. And then when they're not there, you're like, well, why? And it's because, like you said, nobody really broke it down for them. They're just playing games, and people and coaches think they're just going to learn because you're playing game. There's no, like you said, there's no training to develop. It's just play to develop. And I think it needs to be the reverse of that. And that's what I want to focus on with my kids, whether she gets a college scholarship or not. I don't care, but I want her to have softball IQ more than anything. And I think, like you said, that was such a great soundbite right there that you threw out there, great nugget, because in Australia, you're practicing to actually develop and play, not vice versa, like we see here in the States. So I just want to say, like, that's my philosophy with this team, and I'm going to keep doing that. We're going to play more next year, but it's still going to be more practice so we can then take that over to the field.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that the system doesn't reward that right now. Hopefully it does down the track, and college coaches put emphasis on going to these travel ball practices more than games. I mean, I'd rather watch someone take 100 swings at practice than 9 swings on a weekend because they only had 9 at-bats. So hopefully there's more emphasis put there. It's just everyone wants to get to these showcases and just play.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that. And I've seen the same thing. I know that, like in soccer, the youth soccer groups and all that, they put that emphasis, and they make a recommendation of like 5 hours of practice to 1 hour of playing or something like that. And it seems like it makes more sense. You get so many coaches these days that aren't really coaches. They're managers. They go out and they get a bunch of kids to play, and they stick them out on the field and hope for the best. It really helps to develop.
So Brad, I want to ask you a question here. How does the men's game influence your perspective on pitching development? Like, what have you taken from when you throw, and how does that help you with the pitchers on the staff at Washington?
Yeah, so when I first started, I was kind of nervous to kind of even handle women's pitching, mainly because I've learned a lot about power position in leg drive to leap, like to crow hop and to disengage from the rubber as we can in the international game. And then as I kind of got familiar and got into it, I was like, once I kind of learned a little bit more about female biomechanics and the biomechanics of kind of the female anatomy with that, it was kind of an instant, okay, like this can translate almost identically. You just need to make a little bit smaller moderation. So kind of from the men's game, a lot of it is the same, just tweaked a little bit differently. They got to use their legs differently, their hips differently. You got to figure out, are they top-down pitching? Are they bottom-up pitching? Kind of how do they work? I'm more of I'm going to cater it to you instead of like, this is how you have to pitch. Like, I'm not kind of that kind of coach. It's more, how do we get you in the best position to throw harder, to spin it more, to go? And for some people, they come in and that's a big change. Like they really don't know. They're just really athletic and really strong. And now it's, okay, we need to go back to the shop now and tune it up. And for others, they come in and it's like, okay, like let's start building the IQ more and less of the physical, because we can now outsmart some hitters with your stuff. And I think the men's game in my career of not always being like the top ace of a team to then eventually getting to be the ace of the national team for a year, I kind of have seen both ways of like, I'm in the developmental phase and now I'm in the execution phase. And that has translated almost identically into the college game. And I mean, it was only 8-9 years ago, I was the exact same age as these players doing the exact same things. So I think that I'm in the same generation. I can communicate the same way. I use the same social media that they use. I do all the same experiences that these college people use. And 3 years ago, I was a student as well. It's really easy to talk to the athlete for me and be able to express these things.
Do you think that the fact that you had to develop that rather than just walking in being the ace right away, do you think that was an advantage or a disadvantage for your coaching?
I think it's 100% an advantage. I think that it taught me kind of two things. It taught me how to communicate to maybe the fifth string or the fourth string, be able to handle. I mean, that there's a psychological impact of some people who might not pitch for 2 or 3 weeks, and that and I know what that's like, and I know that the more honest you are about those situations and say, hey, honestly, you're in a reliever role for this season. There might be times in 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 weeks that you don't pitch in a game, but if we're getting to our 4th or 5th pitcher, then we're in a big situation. We need to get you out. Like, we need to get out of this situation. And this is a big time. And I think that people in the past might not have liked to hear that, but I really do think that athletes nowadays just want to be told where they're at and not have any questions about it. And then going on to the A's, it's more, okay, how do I manage you day to day in terms of workload, in terms of mentality, in terms of push? How much information is too much information? How much information is just going out and just playing your game versus how much do we have to cater to things? I think that it's a great filter and a great lens of I've had both.
Time, Blue.
Hey, Jay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think brush contact is for pitchers?
It's pretty high up there, Ken. Probably a 10, since it's hard to get maximum speed or accuracy without it.
Yeah, I agree. But have you ever had a student who struggled to get good, light brush contact?
Sure, all the time, in fact. Especially when they've been taught hello elbow and are trying to throw around their hips, or they're sliding their hips out of the way doing that crazy ninja move.
So what do you do when you run into that situation? Keep railing on them until they get it right?
I used to do that a lot, but then I learned about a product called Pitch Squeak, Ken.
Pitch Squeak? What's that?
It's a cool little armband with a squeaker inside of it.
Like a dog toy?
Yeah, kinda.
So how does it work?
Well, you slip the armband onto the pitcher's forearm and you set it so the squeaker is where the brush contact should happen. Then, when the pitcher goes into release, she tries to get it to squeak, like this. If she makes it happen, she got brush. If there's no sound, she knows immediately and can make a correction.
Wow, cool. So she gets immediate audible as well as tactile feedback.
Oh, there you go again, showing off with those big and technical words again. But yeah, she can feel it and hear it.
Does it really work?
You bet it does. I use it with my students all the time, and it helps them learn how to get brush contact pretty quickly if they practice with it.
Sounds neat. Where can I get one?
Oh, it's easy, Ken. Just email support@pitchsqueak.com, and Jason, the inventor of it, and a Polygirl certified pitching coach himself will ask you how many you want and send them right out.
I'll do that today. Thanks, Jay. What's that address again?
Oh, you bet, Ken. It's support@pitchsqueak.com. One more time for those of you who are listening, support@pitchsqueak.com. And don't forget to mention in the email that you heard about it right here on From the Coach's Mouth podcast, and you'll receive 10% off. Play ball. You were at Florida, and were you considered like a grad assistant there? Is that where you, or were you just an assistant?
I would have been an undergrad assistant.
Gotcha. So tell us about what attracted you to joining the staff at the University of Washington after Florida.
Well, at Florida, so the first year I didn't really do much with the pitching. I caught bullpens, and Coach Walton was basically like, look, he gave me the book. He just said, keep the scorebook. He's like, you're going to do all the substitutions, because I didn't even know like the DP rules with the flex, with the changing of the OP, all
Nobody
those
knows
kind of
that.
things.
Nobody knows that stuff.
I was like, And I remember asking him in a hotel room, and he lined 9 people. He grabbed the players. He was like, we had enough people in there to make a lineup. He's like, you're hitting first, and then I was hitting in the 5-hole in this makeshift lineup. And he was moving people around, grabbing us and moving us. He's like, you'd hit here, you would hit here, you'd be pitching now. And that is honestly how I learned, very visually. But he made me keep booking. And then the second year, we had a change at the pitching coach position. Coach Dobbins came in. And that's when we made the World Series run. And basically, we sat down before the season, me, Coach Dobbins, Coach Walton, and I just basically expressed, hey, I want to be a pitching coach. I'd love to do everything I can. And then he said, well, you've had a year, you've settled down, you figured out, how the game works. Why don't you be in the bullpen every day and sit there and help call pitches in games with Coach Dobbins? And we made a great World Series run. We lost in a Jada Coleman walk-off home run before the championship series, and I got a lot of confidence out of that. And I'd actually spoken to Coach Tarr. Remember how I said I emailed every single school?
Yeah.
I'd spoken to Coach Tarr before that about being a manager at Washington, and I knew Gabby Plain went to Washington. I've seen Washington on TV in the World Series, and Coach Walton was working with Coach Tarr with the national team, and U.S. men's guy, U.S. Olympic coach, U.S. assistant coach, and kind of that USA softball system. Coach Tarr replied to an email from me from 2021. And she said, hey, how are you doing? What are you up to? And then
that's awesome.
We took it from there, and it was kind of crazy.
So was that a tough transition going from kind of, you were helping out, learning the pitching coach thing, and all of a sudden you're put into that big role, and that's a pretty important role in D1 softball.
Yeah, it was a tough transition in a way, but I felt Florida prepared me enough. And honestly, the more I went out to work camps, the more I went out to work, I felt that there was definitely a lack in development in pitching, which I felt like my whole background has been developer and less kind of game day execution of like the pitch calling, the sequencing, things like that. But Lance Glasso, who was the pitching coach, moved to more of an advisory position. So he was basically my mentor through that, and still is. Like, we talk every day about he's been doing it since 2009 when they won the national championships. So being able to use him as leverage of like these situations and talking through that, he's basically like, this is your job, this is your game, you're going to do what you want. But I know that I need to untap into his brain, and we work so well together in terms of like, did I make a mistake there? And he was like, if you made a mistake, I'd tell you. I was like, okay. And then he tells me when I do, and he helps me be a better coach every single day, him and Coach Tarr. So I think they understood, but then they also understood that the development aspect is just as big.
So then statistically, the pitching staff improved quite a bit when you took over. What kind of changes did you implement, or what was it? A change in approach? Was it a change in mechanics? What did you do that made such a difference?
Well, one of the things is we'll never know. We had a completely new pitching staff when we came, so there was not a single person that rolled over, and it was kind of an interesting time. At Florida, we also, between my first and second year, we also had a brand new pitching staff. And so we had all these pitchers graduate at Florida, and then we brought in a bunch of freshmen. Now I get to Washington, and the transfer portal thing happened, and 13 players. We had 4 people returning on roster, and not a single pitcher.
Oh, wow.
In that year. So basically, I had no recruiting experience or anything, but now we had one freshman coming in, Morgan Reimer, and Coach Tarr was basically, okay, we got to build a whole staff from the portal, from recruiting, from going that to play in 6 months. Okay, let's do it. So we worked the phones, we worked the portal, we worked everything out. And then basically coming in, there was no other outside kind of college influence other than where they came from. But the University of Washington, this was their first experience of the University of Washington pitching and pitching coach. And I was just all about, let's maximize strengths. And then in game, does it match up with a hitter's weakness or does it not? And then we have to evaluate, is your strength better than their weakness? Or is your strength better than their strength? And sometimes it is. And sometimes it's like, hey, maybe we don't need to throw this to Megan Grant or Jordan Woolery right now because they are going to match your strength regardless. We got to figure out other ways to get it out. But I really do think that in the recruiting experience that there's a plan for them. Like I watch them in travel ball, and I think people miss a void in development. I really do. And I just think that if you can make them better, and it's not just for 1 year, like you got to make them better every year. Mm-hmm. And that's how we see our players just keep coming back and keep getting better. There's a plan.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I say it all the time. Like I'm, pitching coach at St. Xavier, and I say this to all my kids. It's my job to make every single one of you better, right? So if you're our number 4, you're our number 4. But my job is to make you better every year that you've been here with us, and continue to develop them as pitchers. Even our 1 or 1A or whatever you want to call it. It's like, okay, well, we had a great year this year, but we still have to get better next year. So my job is to continue to help you develop, and whether that's me learning how to, like you said, recognize hitter strengths or develop a different pitch that people haven't seen, pitch design, all that stuff too. So yeah, that's great. Because here's what I feel, Brad. I feel sometimes at the Division I level, I feel, and I've had several kids, and I feel like the thing that the kids want the most is that development. And I feel like some of them don't get that at certain schools because they're too focused on what does our warm up look like? What does, we're going to do these drills. And it's like, where is the mechanical adjustments that need to be made too along the way? Because that's really truly what's going to change a lot of the development. Are they terrestrials or aerials? And are we putting them in their profile to help them be better? Right? Those are things that we as coaches have to do. And I feel like if we're not doing that and we only have one ace and the other 3 aren't very good, I mean, I feel like as a pitching coach, we're not doing our jobs. So what you said there is huge. And I feel kids want that feedback of what am I doing with my mechanics? Why is this pitch off? Right? Like, and I feel sometimes they don't. I've heard college coaches say they refuse to even talk to them about mechanics during a game. And I'm like, well, that's not me. Because if I see that you're over rotating or your plant foot is at a different angle than I need it, I'm absolutely going to say something to you when you come out of that inning. And what's your thought on that, Brad? Seeing, if you're seeing something, are you going to tell Morgan if you're seeing something that she's doing out after that inning?
Yeah. So it kind of happened naturally, and it kind of works in twofold, but I'm 100% telling the pitcher about an adjustment if I think it's going to help them in that time. And it's just knowing the pitcher, I think, in that aspect. If I don't tell Morgan, specifically Morgan, which adjustment to make, she's going to try to make one up on her own. And it might not be the one there. That's how she knows. She's like, okay, my screwball is not coming off the hip at all, and it's not sliding the way I want it. I'm over rotating it. So she might think I need to pull the back hip, where instead it might be, hey, get your left shoulder out there more. And for her, it's just knowing what adjustment to make on what pitch, and that's just spending time with the pitcher and knowing that. But basically, we kind of developed this system naturally where before they get back in the dugout, I'll meet them outside. They kind of all meet as a fielder. And we're having our little conversation while the other pitchers doing their warm-up pitches. When they come in, we don't talk a lot unless it's coming to our heads as it goes. And that's your decompression time. You need to wind down and chill. And then with 2 outs, I say, all right, these are the next few hitters coming up. This is how we're going to attack them. So for the first 0, 1, and out 1, we're really not talking a lot. Out 2, we're going to talk a little bit. But I liked having all that before they get in the dugout. It's fresh on the mind. Yep. It's fresh in my mind. And then we can go on from there, and we don't talk about the next inning until there's 2 outs.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, when you're talking about that with mechanics and in-game adjustments. I know I don't coach teams anymore. I just do lessons. But even during lessons, you can look at this kid and say, okay, yeah, she tends to do this, and that's when she gets off. And sometimes just a simple reminder of something she already knows will make a big difference. And I would imagine, game-wise, it's the same thing, is that you're going to tell her things that she will react positively to, and that it's going to be helpful to her.
Yeah, some you can talk more directly to than others. And we've done some things without kind of saying too much, is like we've strapped players' ankles, because ankle, like the mobility, kind of as you're saying, motor preference stuff, if they're in a supinated position, they're actually better. And some people like to roll their ankles in more, and it actually puts them in a weaker position. Mm-hmm. But we'll tape their ankles. Nothing wrong with their ankle. But they feel it when they roll in versus when they roll out. And that's their physical reminder. If they feel the tape pulling, bad.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So we covered a lot of questions in that little part there. So that's awesome. I want to ask you your own opinion here. What can travel ball coaches and pitching instructors do better to help athletes reach that next level or next level of development? What are your thoughts?
I think it's kind of twofold. We get a lot of campers coming in and we talk about it, and they basically might be, you can kind of tell by the way that they move, the way that they develop, they're kind of going to be a drop ball, change up pitcher in their best way, but they all come in, I want to learn a rise ball, I want to learn a curve ball, I want to learn this. I think really good pitchers, so good average pitchers have one really good pitch. Good pitchers have really good pitch and a changeup. And elite have two really good pitches and a changeup. And if you have three really good pitches and a changeup, then you're going to win awards. Basically, you only need a really good, a changeup, and then above average to be super, super effective. And I think the reputation of I can teach you everything and anything might not be the best for their development. And when they come into our program, we simplify things for the first few months until you get it. If you get it, we build. If you don't get it, we spend time on until you get it. If you can't pound the strike zone with your best pitch and your changeup, then it's going to be really hard.
Interesting that, you're saying changeup. I think people got away from it for a while. And I think a lot of travel coaches tend to fall in love with speed. They get a kid that can throw really hard and they just wanted to keep blowing the ball by people. We've certainly seen it in the Women's College World Series in the last couple of years. The changeup's kind of made a comeback. Tegan Cavan, Nigeri Kennedy, all really of the top pitchers to throw in that. So how much time do you spend really trying to develop that changeup and make sure that that's in order?
Yeah, a lot. A lot of being able to locate it for a strike and not for a strike how you want it. Because I think a lot of the time showing changeup is just as powerful as getting a strike with a changeup, obviously to affect the timing. And hitting is so good these days, you can't just have one speed across the board. But I kind of have this model that in my head, it's called I call it the 340. And you got to stick with me on this because it's basically a percentage and 340% doesn't really make sense. But basically the four areas that we try to develop. So there's velocity, movement, location, and then deception is the fourth one. And basically I try to bucket them in, and I get them to rank it first, but I go, what's your 1, 2, 3, 4? So we have some pitches, it's like I throw 70. Okay, velocity is 1. It doesn't really move, so that might be 4. And then, but I have a changeup, so my deception is my 2. And then my location is okay, so that's my 3. But to be on your game, you need your 1 to be at 100%. So if you're a velocity pitcher, if you don't have velo, what are you? It needs to be 100%. Your number 2 needs to be at 90, then 80, then 70. And that works into 340% if you do 109. So then I say to them, okay, if you're a deception pitcher, so you're a changeup pitcher, mix your spins pitcher, try to get swing and miss, and that's your 100. If your changeup's not on and it's at 70, what's going to pick up that 30%? You need to locate better, you need to move the ball better, or you need to start throwing harder in the game, which I never recommend to do in game. Yeah. But you need to start locating better if your changeup isn't being effective in moving. So we bucket all of our pitchers in like a ranking, but they're fluid. Like the rankings move every week or every 2 weeks based on how you're going and how your form is. And it really helps in developing change. If you're a deceptive pitcher, we're never not throwing a changeup in a bullpen or having emphasis on that. But if you're a location pitcher, the intent now is to locate the changeup. It's not just to throw the changeup. So you kind of have different intents for the same thing.
I want to ask you quickly, what metrics matter to you the most? And because metrics are super important. I believe they are too, but I think data only tells you like half the story. So what metrics do you think are very valuable?
Swing and miss and standing strikeouts.
Those are great metrics, yes.
But yeah, I think we put a lot of emphasis on our spin tilt in terms of it doesn't need to be a 6 o'clock drop ball, but it does need to have different separation than your rise ball, obviously, with vertical break and horizontal break and things like that. But I think there's not one, I'm not like you need to get perfect 12 o'clock spin. If we can get a better spin rate and better jump at a 2 o'clock tilt or a 10:30 tilt on the clock, and you get another inch of break, well, now you're moving the ball on 2 planes instead of just the 1 plane that we've been trying to get. Like I'd rather a ball move in 2 directions than 1 direction. So I think we put a little bit of emphasis on that. But this year in the fall, we didn't do any metric training unless there was a batter in the box, because we found the year before the bullpen numbers and the game numbers are so different that there's no point in your numbers unless you're just trying to get direct feedback on the development side of it. So we kind of went away from it a little bit, but then we would throw on the field in practice, but the batter's standing in. They might not be swinging all the time, but there's someone there to challenge you optically.
Are there some metrics for you that matter more than others? And are there some that are overrated in your opinion?
It's hard. I really, really like extension because I feel like on a changeup or a rise ball, hitters come in the dugout and like I felt it. Like and they don't really know what that means other than like I felt it. And I think that extension off the mound actually gives you that. So I think if they're 5.5 feet off the mound, but then they're 5 feet on the changeup, that's what you felt.
Okay.
And I think that extension off the mound is kind of like release, where you release the ball, is kind of not really looked into enough, at least from my experiences of it. Overrated, I would say sometimes velocity can get overrated. Like everybody can throw in the regionals, everybody has a pitcher throwing between 63 and 66. The velocity is kind of only a separator when it's 67 plus. Or you have a changeup, but you kind of need it to then build the other things off that. So velocity is never overrated, but I do think that recruiting someone who just because they throw 65, I'd rather a 62 kid who gets into our nutrition program and our weight room who can spin it and think the game rather than someone who just kind of thumbs it, you know?
So you feel like you can build that speed through some of the mechanisms that you have. But if you've got that IQ there, or you've got some of those other factors, that's just going to, the speed will enhance everything.
Yeah. And our strength and conditioning program, we've had every pitcher who's come through in my 2 years now has gained 2 miles an hour. So they're working hard.
You hear that, Ken? You said 2 miles an hour, not 5 and 7.
Yeah.
We were just having a conversation before about kids, doing one lesson and picking up, 5 miles an hour in one lesson. I'm like, I don't have any kids like that. So it's usually like a year and I get a kid that throws 2 miles an hour more. So that I'm glad you said that, Brad, because Ken and I were talking about it. I'm like, I told Ken today, I'm like, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know, but I don't have a kid that comes for one lesson and picks up 5 miles an hour. So
yeah,
I want to ask you, and this is more on the mental side of things, Brad, how do you handle dealing with your pitchers when they've had a bad inning? Like what's kind of the way that you approach them if the inning was just bad? Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a solutionist mindset, but if we can't identify the problem, then we can't get to a solution. So a lot of the time, I let them explain it first. Like, what'd you feel out there? What happened out there? We gave up 5 runs. Well, was it obvious? Was it walks? Was it obvious? Was it missing over the heart of the plate? Is it a pitch? I try to protect the pitches in pitch calling. If I know that something's not working, I don't just throw it to throw it unless we really, really have to. But I think the communication aspect is definitely pitcher related. And a lot of the time they know the issue mechanically because of, we've spoken about it in the bullpen enough. Of like, oh, when my rise ball does this, this is why. Or if my screwball does this, this is why. And I think just identifying the problem, letting them identify the problem, then working our way back into the root cause. And then we've also gone out in the bullpen mid-games and mid-innings and figured it out in there too and done things like that. So, yeah, it's definitely pitcher to pitcher. But as I said, I do that talk at the front, then it's gone. And if we're going to wipe the goods, and I try to say wipe the goods, we have to wipe the bads if we've come to an agreement that we can fix the solution, fix the problem now.
When you talk about going to, or relying on your best pitch first and kind of limiting the number of pitches, how do you approach that? I mean, do you have them try all the different pitches? Do you take a look at it and then say, okay, here, this is clearly a strength. This is something you can do well. Or do you just arbitrarily, well, I shouldn't say arbitrarily, but do you sort of pick it for them? Here's what I want you to throw.
I try to let them pick it because then they have more confidence in game with it. There's a limited amount of time, which it does happen, where you're like, you're going to throw 75% drop balls in game. Why? Because no one can hit it. Like, you're throwing this thing at 67 miles an hour. It's moving down 10 inches of break. Well, I have this one girl, she's like, wow, my curveball is my best pitch. And I'm like, no, your drop ball is elite right now. And all you need to do is just locate it through the zone and then know when you don't need to locate it in the zone. And I think you kind of got to guide them to get to that solution so that they're mentally okay throwing that pitch in a 3-2 count with loaded bags. I think if we just tell them that, then they might not completely trust it. So you just got to build their belief and confidence and kind of let them come to the solution that maybe we want them to get to.
And then this is a question I had that I'm doing more for the benefit of pitcher parents, travel ball pitcher parents, and high school ball pitcher parents. When you're looking at strike percentages for your kids, what number are you shooting for overall in the game? You go for 100%?
He's going to say 100%, Ken. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, if you look at the World Series right now, I mean, the ones who just pitched this last week, the ones who pounded the zone have the most success, and they work with count leverage. We'd like to be 70% first pitch strike, and then we like to be above 63% strike percentage. That gives you leeway of you can get to 1-2 and hit your goal.
Yeah, and the reason I ask that is that so many times I know that Jay and I have talked about this 100 times, but you just get so many of these parents that they freak out if their kid is not throwing like 90 to 100% strikes. And it's like, that's too many. You're making it too easy to hit. The kid is not challenging herself. So it's good to hear somebody at your level being able to say that, 70% first pitch. So even there, it's not 100%. And then 63% is a good ratio for your players.
Yeah, and back to kind of what I was saying before, you set an expectation if you go at 100%. I don't know how you're going to exceed your expectation and not be disappointed if it's at 100%.
Yeah.
So I think being realistic.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, it was during COVID, I won an NFCA webinar, and it was during COVID, and they had Mike White on there from Texas. And so there at the end, you could type in the little chat. So somebody typed in the chat, hey, what do you teach at, he was at, I think just at Texas at the time there. They said, what do you teach your pitchers about strike percentage in a game? And he said, well, he goes, well, what we do in the bullpens at Texas is we go around, 4 corners each pitch. And he said, we try to hit those spots 2 out of 3 times, which is 67%. And so I tell my kids and parents, I said, okay, we do a thing at the end of our lessons. I call it 2 out of 3s. We're going to do 2 out of 3s on every pitch because I learned that from Mike White, and that's what they're teaching at Texas. Now, this is a 12-year-old, and if we're asking Division I high athlete pitchers to be at 67%, what do you want your 12-year-old daughter to be doing, right? Like maybe we're 50% at this age and we're working up from there. And so I think what you said there, Brad, is great that you said 63%. I mean, that's like right in the range of where you want it to be. And then hopefully parents that are listening to this, put that into perspective for your 12 and 14-year-old daughter who is not at Texas or at Washington, right? You're probably not hitting 63% of your strike percentages during games, and that's still okay at 12 and 14. Would you agree with that, Brad?
100%. And we kind of say, how do you win 12U? You throw strikes. How do you win 14U? You throw strikes hard. 16U, you have a spin, and 18U, you kind of do all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's, again, it goes back to that development piece that you keep talking about, is that you have to give the kids an opportunity to make some mistakes without getting yelled at, to find themselves and to push that envelope for themselves. You can play conservatively and throw strikes and just play not to lose or play not to make mistakes. But, in my experience, it just doesn't develop the kids very well.
So, Brad, we told you it'd be about an hour, and we're getting really close to that right now. So I just have a few more questions, but these are more a little bit geared towards you and your playing time. So when you were on Team USA, did they let you hit at all or Australia?
No,
you were a PL.
I got told at like the age of 15. I loved hitting. I was a left-handed shortstop, believe it or not. And then I started making the higher up teams and the representative teams, and I do like to hit, but it's kind of a joke to the team now because I go out there and just swing, and they're like, "Oh, Brad's swinging again." But no, I don't hit at that level. Basically, the PO.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question then. What are your thoughts on seeing some of these kids now that are at the college level who do both, that can hit, and like you got, Jordy Fromm is doing both. Najee was doing both this year. You're seeing more and more of those pitchers who can do both. What are your thoughts about that as a college coach?
I love it. I wish I had coaches that were supportive of it. I think if you're tentative about pitchers getting hurt or whatever, then that's kind of a soft mindset. I don't know if I can say that, but it's more of go let the athlete be the athlete and let them play the game as the game. Because we have a pitcher right now. Actually, 3 of our 6 pitchers hit. as well. Now, they might not be in our starting 9 and they might be the pitcher, but every session they do the same hitting reps as all the other players because they also get in the mind of the hitter and they learn what a hitter is looking for and how a swing works and what to look for. Because I want our pitchers to see something and if I'm calling a drop ball, but they're dropping the barrel, I want them to be like, no, let's throw the rise ball. Like I need them to learn the game of being like, get out of it. Like don't be a robot on a pitch call. Like let's see the game and feel the game and play the game. And if you see an adjustment, make an adjustment. And I think that if they're learning how hitters make adjustments by physically doing that, then they're so much more prepared as a pitcher.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember a story about when the U.S. team was playing in the Olympics and Mike Candrea was coaching. When Lisa Fernandez was not pitching, she was playing third base and she was batting fourth. And then when she would pitch, they would have somebody hit for her. And one day, Candrea says, I woke up and I just asked myself, why am I doing that? I'm taking one of my best bats out of the game because she's pitching. It makes no sense. And I think that, being able to evaluate the kids and, if they can hit, let them hit.
So, Brad, how about you?
Yeah.
Who is the best hitter that you faced that you're like, oh, man, it just scared you when you were throwing?
As a player?
Yeah.
There's been a few. I think naturally I'm going to go towards some of the New Zealand guys. Like I'm going to say the Jerome Ray Marquis. I'm going to say the Ben Onokas. I faced them a lot, which has given them the opportunity to hit me a lot. Those guys normally, and then there's a couple of those Argentina guys like Nico Carril. He seems to have my number a little bit. He was actually one of those that struck out in that bronze medal game. He batted fourth, but God, he was so close to a grand slam a couple of times.
That long foul strike. So when you're facing a hitter like that, and or your pitchers that you're coaching are facing somebody like that you know that hit them well and has seen them dozens of times, how do you throw something different at them to throw them off?
Sometimes you can kind of bait them into throwing the same thing. I think like we kind of got stubborn a little bit off some of other teams' best hitters because we're going to make you hit a ball on not your A swing. Sometimes I feel I'm watching these people break the home run records, and you get to the same. You try to get to the same spot a different way. I find you kind of just say, this is the weakness. I'm going to keep going here until I feel like you're waiting on it now, and then go. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But I think the hitter is thinking so much about, I need to get this person on the outside half of the plate. But if you just never go there, then they're just uncomfortable the whole. And they're like, okay, they throw me 6 inside in a row. Are they going to throw me a 7th inside in a row, or are they going to finally get me outside? And that's when you get the freezers eventually. Like eventually you're like, okay, I've run out of room. If I come in any more, it's a better pitch than the last one to hit. And then you might flip it outside. But I find that you can kind of just play with the mindset of being like, oh, you just got 4 changeups in a row. You think I'm coming 5th, or you think I'm coming heat now?
So I have one more. I think Ken might have one more too for you. So I'm sure that you've done some, or any of the kids that you're getting there. What would be your favorite pitch to teach?
I love the drop ball and I love a good rise ball, but I would say if there's a trend on my coaching right now, the drop ball is being super effective. I think that the rise ball can win games and the drop ball can win championships.
Yeah. And it's also, if you make a mistake with the drop ball, it usually is less devastating. You throw a rise ball that doesn't rise, that doesn't do what it's supposed to do, that can go yard real quick.
Well, the way hitting is nowadays, you kind of don't want to put anything up. Everything's going out.
Yeah. Ken, any other questions?
Yeah, I just have one more question. We like to ask everybody about this one. Just wondering if you have any hidden talents or anything people would be surprised to learn about you.
Oh, God, surprised to learn. I'm not too sure. I kind of played every sport growing up. My whole life is sports, rugby. No, I don't know. I kind of just played every sport. I did discus, I did shot put, I did rugby, I did baseball, I did tennis, ping pong. I guess my talent, my whole personality over here when I get to the US is I just talk funny.
Well, I mean, I guess that's there, Ken.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Well, Brad, it's been awesome, man, talking to you. We really appreciate your time today. Ken and I are both very grateful for your time. We know you got a plane to catch, but thanks so much for joining us today. We totally appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I had fun. We'll have to do it again.
Oh, we'd love to.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
All righty. Well, that's it for us this week. Thanks to all of you for listening and for the kind words you've been sharing with us. If you like what you're hearing, please remember to give us a like, leave a comment, and share this podcast on your social media channels. Make sure you never miss an episode by following us on your favorite podcast platform. And if you're so inclined, you can also leave us a great review on Apple Podcasts to help more people find us. On behalf of the From the Coach's Mouth podcast, have a great rest of your week and weekend.